Hi, I'm Holly from Flow Movement Therapy, where I help you take ownership of your body through better movement. Today we're talking about why your big toe is such a big deal. Now, your big toe gets its name not just because it's big, but because of the big role that it plays in firing a whole bunch of things that you're probably frustrated that you can't get to work, like your hamstrings, your glutes, your abs, a whole bunch of things, and your calves, and the tightness, and all the things that we want to try to get better at. And who knew that it's actually your big toe that might be the thing that can explain it. So your big toe is really important in keeping you nice and stable on the ground, on your feet, being resilient in case you step in a hole or on something uneven, and being able to give information to all of those muscles that need to fire, that we're trying to fire. So we need to be able to make sure that your big toe can move. We need to be able to make sure you can get off of the weight of your big toe, so you can get into and out of your big toe. And we also want to make sure that the timing of the movement of the big toe is appropriate, so that all of those structures get the cues that they need to get long in order to fire. It's all about getting those muscles long by moving the things they're attached to. So we're going to go through a little examination of a few things just to see whether your big toe is doing what we would like, and then some exercises to try to bring those movements back to your body. So stand up, we're going to try it out together. Today we're going to talk about something that I see really common in the clinic, is when I get you to move your back, it's really your knees doing the work. Or if I get you to move your knees, your back is doing the work. So two really common areas that our bodies, we have as injuries in our bodies or aches and pains, is your back and your knees. So maybe we want to start retraining how those body parts move to try to take away some of those aches and pains. First off, I want you to test out a few things to see if this is true in your body. So one of the things that I see happen in the clinic is when I get you to move your pelvis or your lower back, both of them connected together, your knees are actually doing the work. So let's see if that's happening for you. If I get you to tilt your pelvis forward and back, so thinking of increasing the arch in your lower back and then tucking your tail under, do you find that the movement is happening more in your knees, taking you forward and back? So you are swaying forward and back and not staying right up and down, stacked up on an axis? If so, then that may be that your knees are doing the work of your back. So your knees are moving, and that's what you think is your back is doing the work. But instead, we want to be able to stay on top of that axis of gravity and being able to tilt your pelvis forward and back and not have your knees doing the work of your pelvis and lower back. The other thing that I notice is that when people go to straighten their knees, they're arching their back to create that straightening. So we want to notice whether straightening your knees causes you to lean with your back, or leaning to the side, leaning away, or leaning backwards to straighten your knees. So often what I'm seeing is that your back is doing the work of your knees, or your knees are doing the work of your back. So we want to start rewiring those patterns. The first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to get you up against the wall or a closed door. You want to be standing straight up and down, so heels a little bit away from the wall so that you're not feeling like you're using your hamstrings to try to stay upright. You want to keep the back of your pelvis and somewhere around your shoulder blades against the wall. This will keep you honest with that axis of gravity. So if you have a tendency to move your back instead of your knees, we are going to keep you so that you're stacked straight up and down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to tilt your pelvis forward. I want you to just keep your knees still, so I don't want them to bend or straighten. They're just going to stay in whatever configuration they're in, hopefully just a little bit soft. And we're going to get you to tilt your pelvis. So tilting your pelvis forward without losing contact with the wall behind your pelvis and behind your ribs, somewhere around your shoulder blades. So just tilting your pelvis forward and keeping your knees still. So we're redistributing the movement to your lower back and your pelvis rather than having your knees swinging forwards and back to achieve that. So seeing if we can redistribute that, especially the going forward part. And then we want to do the opposite, so tucking your tail under, tilting your pelvis backwards. So as you take your tailbone down the wall, we want to see if we can try to keep your knees still and have the movement happening with your lower back traveling towards the wall and your pelvis tucking under, and seeing if we can do that instead of your knees doing the work for you. So just trying out that as well. The second thing that we want to do is with your knees. So coming away from the wall, I want to notice whether when I bend my knees, does my back move at all? For many of us, either your pelvis stays totally still, as if we've been told not to disturb your lower back when you bend your knees, or there's a bunch of funky things happen, like you tuck your tail under. And so your lower back isn't really helping you out if you're tucking your tail under when you bend your knees. So when you bend your knees, we want to see if we can keep yourself stacked up and down. So we want actually a little bit of a tilt forward happening when you're bending your knees. So we want to bring those two movements together so that the connection happens between your lower back increasing the arch and having your knees bending at the same time. So I find in clinic that most people either have their lower back completely still when they bend their knees, or they tuck their tail under. We want to get out of those two habits. We want to be able to tilt our pelvis forward to allow our knees to bend. And the opposite of that, when I straighten my knees, often I get people will tilt their pelvis, see if I can do it, tilt their pelvis forward and straighten their knees, and they go into this sort of hyperextended position. I want to do the opposite of that. So often when people straighten their knees, they do that hyperextended position, or they use their back to straighten their knees, and I'm exaggerating that. So they're leaning backwards to try to get a straight knee. So instead what I want to do is actually the opposite of that. I want to stay stacked straight up and down. When I straighten my knees, I actually want to tuck my tail under a little bit. So if I focus on this side, as I straighten my knee and tuck my tail under, that's going to feel a lot better on your lower back. It's also going to be creating all of the supination structure, connections of all of the joints, so they all lock together all along the chain. If we allow ourselves to move in our pelvis and our lower back instead of hinging around to create that straightening pattern. So try out those two things, being on the wall, keeping your knees still, and teaching your pelvis to tilt on its axis. And then being able to get away from the wall and allow the tilt to happen and the appropriate knee bending or straightening happening with the appropriate movement in your pelvis and your lower back. Thank you for watching. I hope that those are helpful. If you have any other comments, leave those down below and let me know how that goes, if that alleviates your knee pain or your back pain, or it was just something brand new that you didn't realize, some funky stuff about your body that's brand new to you today. Thanks for watching.